Howdy, folks. Greyhawk 4x4 coming at you again, your resident vintage gamer. How is everybody on a Thursday night? Wow, somebody got in here pretty quick. There wasn't anybody waiting when I started it. So, once again, I don't know how accurate our counter is there on the stream, but Chupa is probably in here. Looks like a couple more people joined, so we've already got some people in here. That's awesome. How are you guys tonight? Having me a little voltage here. I did a lot of shit today, so I'm actually pretty beat. So gotta have a little caffeine to get everything going. So I did my hey Bastille, how are you? So Bastille, quick question while I got you here. I sent you and your wife an envelope. Did you guys get that? It was just a thank you note for the Christmas present, but I want to make sure you got it because I also sent something the same day to somebody else that was pretty important, and they haven't gotten it yet, and I mailed it from the same place. So I'm hoping that you guys got yours, which will tell me that like it wasn't lost. Because I mailed this stuff at the UPS store. They have a US, a post office drop thing there, and I'm hoping somebody didn't just lose the mail I sent. So I'm hoping if you got yours, then at least I'll know that they went out. Okay, so that's all I wanted. I just wanted to make sure you got it because I was a little worried because the other person that what I sent them was very important. That was a personal thing that I sent, and they didn't get that. So that tells me that it got picked up and got sent. So that's probably on their end then. So thank you for, okay, that's good to know. So let's see. I did my beer 30 yesterday. I usually do it on Tuesdays, but Tuesday I didn't feel like there was a lot to talk about. And then yesterday we got hit with a few things that I thought were worthy of talking about. The Lego Corporation and Blizzard thing is very interesting. I don't think a lot of people paid a lot of attention to it, but that's pretty big considering that Blizzard's already lost like some other corporate partnerships and stuff like that as a result of their whole controversy and everything. The Lego thing with that merchandising tie-in, Lego sells a lot of shit. They sell a lot of sets of whatever it is. Hey, Chupa, of whatever it is that, whatever brand it is or whatever. I mean, just go to a Lego store and you'll see like they're making money hand over. There's people in line. They have people that when stuff gets released, they go and they buy the max they're allowed to buy. Like there's people out there, snipers out there that go and buy however many because they know that eventually it's going to go out of print and Lego's not going to make them anymore. And then they sell them on eBay for twice the price or whatever. The fact that Lego has put their Overwatch 2 stuff on hold because of Blizzard's bullshit. If they end up dropping Blizzard and not producing those Overwatch 2 sets and all that stuff, that's a lot of money lost for Blizzard. So anyway, I thought that was worth talking about because it just, to me, like I said in my video, where's the line with when is Blizzard's the Activision Blizzard's their council, their board members to say, hey, Bobby Kotick, you got to go because you're costing us too much money. You're costing us too many partnerships and too many deals and so forth. It's bizarre to me. But anyway, so I thought that was interesting. And then is anybody, the other thing I mentioned in that Beer 30 was the Star Citizen and Squadron 42 saying that they're years off still after generating $400 million in crowdfunding, and they're still years off. If I had given any money to them, I think I'd be pretty pissed right about now. But anyway, the question I asked was, And nobody answered it in that video, so I don't know if anybody watched long enough to see. I asked, "Do you think we're gonna see Elder Scrolls 6 first, or Star Citizen Squadron 42 will release for? Which one do you think is gonna release first? Because Elder Scrolls 6 is a way off. That's yeah, they're what is it? Their next one is the hell is it called? Um, I want to say Starfinder, but that's Pathfinder in space. Yeah, see, I agree with you, Bastille. I think Elder Scrolls 6 is going to release before anybody sees Star Citizen Squadron 42 that actually get released. I think, and those people are still going to give them money. They're still making money. They're still having people donate money, which is that blows my mind. But yeah, I'm with you. I think it's going to be. I think we'll see Elder Scrolls 6 first. So, anyway, so we had those things to talk about. The big thing I want to talk. It says we got 5 people in here. Whether or not we do, we'll see. I got a vent about episode 3 of the book of Boba Fett. Now, before I do that, anybody that's in here right now, if any of you have not seen it, put it in the chat. Let me know. I'll hold off because there's going to be spoilers. If you haven't seen it and you plan to and you don't want me to spoil it, let me know. I'll hold off talking about it maybe till later or something, and whatever, we can hold it to the end where you guys can jump out early and then I can, but I got to talk about that episode because I'm not a happy camper about that episode. It was terrible, and I usually don't say that. I'm the guy that defends most Star Wars stuff because I'm just happy to be in the world of Star Wars, some more. But that yesterday sucked. So, anyway, so you liked episode 3, okay? So we're gonna have a conversation about. Well, this isn't really spoilers. The emo goth Vespa moped gang, did that not bother you, Bastille? That, I mean, and that the chase scene, and oh my god, that was bad. The CGI was horrible. It looked like the moped things were on wheels, and they just digitally erased the wheels. So okay. So let's see. We'll just put that. Yeah, so that was the main. The other thing I can't talk about because that is a spoiler, but I can talk about the chasing because that's not spoiling anything. So when I saw those speeders that literally looked like space Vespas with all these fluorescent colors on them and shit on Tatooine, that doesn't make any sense. And I mean, they have swooper gangs. They have swoop gangs in the world of Star Wars, and they all ride around on swoop speeders. And we've seen those in the other episodes of this. They used the swoops in the last episode when they had to take on the train and all that stuff. So we've seen that's what's in Star Wars. Those little neon colored fucking Vespa things. I don't know where the hell they pulled that out of. Ugh. I haven't really had a problem with the acting. I'll say I haven't had a problem with the acting. Nothing's really jumped out at me that's bothered me about that. But that whole thing, and then there's one other thing I have an issue with episode 3 yesterday. That one is a spoiler. I can't talk about that. I don't want to spoil it for anybody. We'll wait till the end of this stream, the end of this live, and then I'll let everybody know I'm going to be talking about it, and I'm going to be talking about a spoiler. And anybody that wants to jump out early, that'll be the time to do it because we got to talk about that one other thing. So, Yeah, and I watch all of it, Chupa. I don't care if it's Star Wars, I watch it. Now, mind you, I am behind on the animated series, the plural. I watched 1 or 2 seasons of the Clone Wars, and I never watched any of the other animated series, and I need to do that because I'm a Star Wars geekazoid, and I can't call myself a true fan if I don't watch the animated series. I even own all of the clone on Blu-ray. I own all of the Clone Wars. Of course, now I don't need it. I got Disney Plus, but um, so there's no excuse for me. Um, anyway, the other thing I wanted to talk about was I usually like to show something during the live. I wanted to show these, and these are just some of the ones that I've got of these pick your path to adventure. Now, somebody told me if I hold my hand behind the item that it will help it. Yeah, that does help, I guess. Okay. So anyway, I got a bunch of these I'm going to show you guys, and then I'll save the first one I ever bought for last because that one's pretty cool. Hey, Colin, how are you? So far, Colin, we've been talking about the book of Boba Fett. I'm not going to do any spoilers until the end of the stream. So anybody that wants to jump out, then I want to talk. There's something I want to talk about from a spoiler from last night that's bugging me. And we're going to talk about. I'm going to show these pick your path to adventure game book deals here. This is again, I have a shit ton of these. This is just a sample. And we talked a little bit about, or at least I talked about the Lego Blizzard, basically the breakup thing there, where Lego is putting everything on hold with their Lego sets for Overwatch 2. And Bastille says the only choose your own adventure book I owned was the Pillars of Pentagon. I have that. Those are the early ones, and then these. So those early ones had the Dungeons and Dragons label for basic Dungeons and Dragons, and then these were the advanced dungeons, the AD&D. So these came out during like second edition AD&D. But yeah, I have the Foxbat 945 says, "Hi Greyhawk, those bikes probably came out of Cyberpunk." Yeah, that's where they look like they belonged. They didn't belong, as far as I was concerned. They didn't belong in Star Wars. Now again, there is I will say that if you ever played Star Wars: The Old Republic, the MMO, and for whatever reason, I don't know if it was Hutta. The hell, what planet was it that you could go to where it was all the huts? It might have been Hutta, and they had. It was like the whole damn planet was like one big, neon casino type cyberpunk looking thing. Now, those speeders would look properly placed there. On Tatooine, nah. Now, again, if there had been some explanation as to, they were part of a gang that was on that other planet, and then they decided to move to Tatooine, and they brought their speeders with them. Have some explanation, because they just did not look in place at all. And the other problem that I had with it on the chase scene was the CGI was so bad. Again, it looked like they basically took Vespas, real life Vespas, filmed the scene with them like on wheels, and then just digitized out to make them look like they were floating. Because if you watch it, they're bouncing as just like Vespas would if they were driving around on the dirt. They didn't. That's not how speeders in Star Wars, as we know, they move along and it's smooth. They're not. Yeah, anyway, it frustrated the shit out of me, so you can tell. But so that scene, and then the other thing I want to talk about, we'll wait till later because that one is a spoiler. So, but anyway, so and we talked about the Star Citizen thing. That, yeah, And so far, I got one person, Bastille, saying that he agrees with me. We'll see Elder Scrolls 6 before we ever see Star Citizen or Squadron 42 release. And that's what I believe. Now, and it'll be interesting to see how much money it will cost to produce Elder Scrolls 6 in comparison to the $400 million that Star Citizen has got. Now, again, it's a bigger project. I get that and all. I get all that. But how long have they been taking people's money? Has it been 10 years yet? Something like that for Star Citizen. So anyway, what topics did you guys want to talk about? God of War, I guess, releases tomorrow. Are any of you guys looking forward to that? I never played it on console, but it's such a big title. It's got such a big following that I got to try it on PC. So, and I think it was Taja. She's not in here right now, but she commented on my video that she doesn't pre-order stuff anymore either. So that's why I'm not pre-ordering God of War. I'm not doing anything until it's been out a little while and I can see that, like, when Star Citizen gets released, it will no longer be classed as futuristic. You're probably right if it gets released, right? But imagine you're somebody that, I mean, they have packs that they're selling right now for $4,000, real money, $4,000. The fuck? And people are paying it? What the what? There's maybe there's just something I'm missing. Maybe there's like my mind is going some weird places. And you're kind of putting out that kind of money for a video game. I love my video game, as you can see. I've been loving video games for 40 years. But I put down some kind of money like that, my expectations are going to be different. It's going to involve VR headsets and some, yeah, it's going to be, I'm going to have to feel like I'm literally there, for that kind of money. So anyway, nuts. So do you guys have any other stuff you want to talk about other than my Raiders making it to the playoffs? And I believe, who was it that somebody already messaged me and said that because they're going to be playing their team, the Bengals, for the first round. Who was that? Was that John? I think that was, maybe that was John. I can't remember who it was that messaged me. It's hard to keep track of when you have CRS, it's called CRS. Can't remember shit. That's a legitimate medical term there. CRS, can't remember shit. When you get past 50, you officially have CRS, whether you know it or not. So, yeah, my Utes made it to the Rose Bowl, and then they somehow managed to blow that game. They had a good sized lead, and they somehow blew that. So to Ohio State, but it was a close one. So Bastille, excuse me, voice is going out. Damn, have a little tea. Bastille says, "It seems to me that Star Citizen is a pet project, and although it might get released, I don't think it will ever be done or complete." I got no problem with that. I got no problem with anything about what you just said. However, $400 million of crowdfunding, that seems, you when you do that, there's an obligation to, produce something that people can get their money's worth for, in my opinion. Now, legally speaking, they probably had some bullshit in their terms and conditions and everything else that they make everybody check off when they give their money and everything else, which releases them from any liability. I would be completely shocked if that wasn't the case. So I'm sure legally they are covered, that if they end up taking $1 billion of people's money by the end, let's say it's all said and done, and it's been 20 years and $1 billion of people's money later, and they end up not releasing it or whatever, legally they're probably going to be covered because they had everybody check all the boxes and sign saying that, yes, you're not guaranteed anything for your money, blah, blah, blah. It's considered a donation, whatever. Now, having said that, ethically and morally, what's the right thing to do? Now, again, morals and ethics have never come into place when it comes to corporate America. So my expectations are lower than whale shit on the bottom of the ocean. How about that? So, but I would love to see it get to a point where it was like, hey, it's in a beta. It's going to release, even if it's a year later from the beta, and they say it's going to release on this, and then gave people some, that if they gave the money, they could be in the beta, and all that would seem to be legit then, but I don't see that happening. So anyway, let's see. Oh, let's go ahead and go through these real quick here. So I don't really have these in any order, I don't think. But so these are the ones that I grabbed off the shelf, and these are just the AD&D ones that have this type of cover and everything on them. Like I said, I got a whole shit ton of them and everything, but I grabbed these. So this is volume 1 in the Kingdom of Sorcery trilogy. So they ended up having trilogies, I guess. And I do not have all of these. I have the early ones. I think I've got like the whole set of the early ones, the D&D ones. This is number 7. This is the Scepter of Power. And the cool thing about these were, let's see if this has one. So this one, unless I've got it in here somewhere. Okay, I do have it in there. So these they came with a pre-generated character sheet for these. Let's see if that helps. Yeah, that does help, doesn't it? And you use your hand like that. It does help. Son of a bitch. Someone taught me something. Okay, so as you can see, the glare's not helping, but you get a little character sheet here, and it even tells you what spells you have, hit points, intelligence, dexterity, charisma. So it doesn't even give you like the full complement of ability scores and everything. Magic user, your name and everything. And you fill that out, and you actually can roll for it, I believe, if I remember correctly. But they tell you a way to do it, even if you didn't have dice, I think. And then you go through these things, and it's basically like going through a D&D adventure by yourself. You don't have to have a DM. You don't have to have anybody else. You read through them, and it tells you get to, and a lot of you guys probably know this already, but for those that don't, you get to a certain point, and it'll say, when you get down to, let's see if we can find one real quick here. Damn, the text on here is damn small. It'll get to a point where it'll say, it'll give you an option to do something. And for some reason, so if you choose one way, it'll tell you to turn to this page. And if you choose the other path, it'll tell you to go to a different page. And you never know. There's a zillion different ways that this thing can go, because there's all these different combinations of things. And that's why it's called Pick Your Path or whatever of adventure. And they're a fun way to pass some time when, now, of course, this is before everybody had phones. Everybody has a computer in their pocket now. So let's say you were going back in the day before you had cell phones and all this shit, and you were going to a doctor's appointment. dentist appointment, whatever, DMV, for fuck's sake, the DMV. This would have been perfect for the DMV. Of course, one of these wouldn't have been enough to sit at the DMV waiting your turn, because that can be hours. But go to an appointment, you take one of these with you. You could sit here and do it while, I mean, you could read a regular book if you want to, but it's a little bit more involved. And that's what you could, of course, if they came out when you were in high school, like might have been for me. I don't remember if the original ones came out. I was still in high school. So I'm pretty sure in class I was looking like I'm reading a book and I'm actually playing a fucking game. So anyway, so that one's called Scepter of Power. This is number 13. This is the Gates of Death. And again, if you find these used, if you were in a used bookstore or something like that, and you see them, make sure that they have this one still has the card attached, the character sheet card. So just make sure that if you ever decide, if you decide, look how old this damn thing is. Look at that, the fading, the discoloration here, because that's where the card sits. Damn, that's how old these are. But yeah, make sure that before you buy it, that it has one of those in it. So that's Gates of Death. Then you had the Vanishing City. This is number 15. This one you play a fighter. I've already dislodged this one. Looks like I've already used this one. I've already played it. And then you had, let's see here. This one is a Spawn of Dragon Spear. And this one says Forgotten Realms at the top. So this is definitely Forgotten Realms. Some of them have different game worlds. This is the Prince of Thieves. This is number 18. And then the last one I wanted to show you is this is the first one I ever bought, because it was a Ravenloft. So they had the Ravenloft, the original Ravenloft, which I think was I6. I think it was the nomenclature at the top. The Ravenloft module, the original one that released for Halloween, whatever year it was. And then they released this as a standalone. Master of Ravenloft. And this is game book number 6. So this is one of the first ones. And this one, you are a paladin, 15th level. And this one I still have. This one is in really good condition, and I still have the card attached and everything in here. So, yeah. So anyway, that is just some of the, pick your path to adventure type deals. I got a whole bunch more, but I wanted to show those to you as our kind of vintage gaming item of the week. So, let's see here. So no other comments. You guys like my old army mug? Has my rank on it. That was the rank I was when I was in specialist E4 when I got out. So I was like, well, I got to keep that mug. I got one when I was over in Germany playing. When you go to the fest, like Oktoberfest, but they have fests all year long. They have My Fest, which is in May, of course, and then they have Volksfests and all this. So they have fests all the time. Beer, food, carnival games, the whole bit, right? They had one where you throw the ping pong ball, and they have all these beer glasses and steins and mugs and all that shit up there. And you if it lands in one, you win whatever it lands in. If you throw it, like arc it and everything, most of the time it's going to end up bouncing out. The key was there's a counter that you're standing at. The key was you got to learn how to bounce it off the counter and try and carom it, basically. And it takes some of the energy out of it by bouncing it. And then it wouldn't necessarily balance out of whatever. And I won a shit ton of glasses and mugs and all this stuff. And I've got over there, I guess you guys can't really see it from here. It's on the other side. It'd be over there. I got my shelves over there are full of those glasses that I won, and this was one of them. And then the other one that I won had a major officer rank. And of course, I was not an officer, and of course, I certainly wasn't a major. And I had that damn thing for years. And then I had a coworker whose dad was a major in the Marine Corps. He was retired as a major, and everybody just called him the Major. That was, his nickname. Hey, Major, whatever. And his health wasn't doing real well or whatever, and he was kind of, in the dumps about it and all that. And so I gave him that mug that had his insignia and it said the Major on it, and it was like I just had it there for years. I'm not ever going to use it. I wasn't a major. I wouldn't even dare drink out of it, And so I gave it to him. So I was glad that finally went. I carried that. I mean, that came all the way back from Germany, moved all over the country with me, everything else, and I finally found a home. So I always like telling that story. It's a cool story. Let's see here. So Bastille says, I named my first D&D character Pentagon after the Pillars of Pentagon book. That's a great name. I mean, it kind of bugs me sometimes when people name their D&D characters in a game, especially like a paper and pencil game. They name them like something like, something silly like Cheeseburger, or, people have named them, just goofy shit like that, and it's like, well, that doesn't really fit as far as role playing goes. Pentagon. Now that sounds like something right out of the Middle Ages, that fits, My character, Dorian Lightfoot. That sounds like something. And he's a rogue. He's a thief. He's a rogue. Dorian Lightfoot. Light on his feet, because he's a rogue. He's agility, I have other ones that I've used that I don't dare put out here because I may use them in a book someday and I want the copyright for it. So, now that is a good one. Somebody's gonna steal that from you, Colin, and they're gonna put it on a T-shirt. It won't be me. I'm not gonna do that to you, but I'm gonna say somebody might steal that. By the time Star Citizen gets released, they'll need to call it Supernova Citizen. That's fantastic. Yeah. So I don't remember where the hell I was going with my next topic, but Bastille also said, I have a large collection of mugs from the Minnesota Renaissance Festival. Was that the same thing, Bastille? Was that did you win those like at some carnival game? Was it the ping pong game? So while I wait to see what his answer there is, we have right down the street from me, 10 minutes away, we have a place called Evermore Park. Now, you might have seen there was a national news story about it, at least one that I know of. And it's a theme park, and it's basically, well, they've changed the format from what I understand. No, all the mugs were purchased. Well, that's even more impressive that if you got a bunch of them and you were buying them. Because I would not have purchased all the ones I've got. But this Evermore Park is basically like a D&D theme park. So when it started, everybody that worked at the place, everybody that worked, no matter what their function was, they had to be in character, and they had to be clothed period appropriate. They had to look the right look for like it was supposed to be a the hell's word that they use there, Victorian era England, but a lot of it was more like the Renaissance Festival, rogues and fighters and all this kind of stuff, and wizards and all that. And everybody was in costume, and everybody had to be in character, whether they were a custodian, concessions, didn't matter. They all had to be in character, all had to be in costume. And then you could go through, and if you wanted to come in costume, you could, and you could be in character. And the cool part was that uh, they had uh, they had characters all throughout the park who would randomly come up to you in character and start a quest with you. And so you'd be walking along, and all of a sudden, this costume guy, would come running up and go, "Hey, I need some help. I'm being chased by so and so, or this group of such and such, or whatever. Here, can you tell him you saw me go, over that direction or whatever." And then he would go like a different direction, and then the other ones come, and then you have to decide: do I sell this guy out, or do I tell him? I mean, that's the kind of shit that would go on, right? And it was all in character. It was fantastic, and so you could go on all these quests and stuff, and then they all carried. Matter of fact, I got one right here. They carried little pouches of these little gold nuggets. They're rocks painted gold, but they're meant to be gold, right? And they would give you when you would finish a quest, you would give you one of these. You could use these fucking rocks, even though they're painted gold. You could use these to buy shit as currency in the park. So you could run around and do a bunch of quests for all these people in character or whatever, and you didn't have to be in character, but it was highly encouraged that you do everything in character. You didn't have to be costumed either. Again, it was encouraged that you would be, but you didn't have to. And you could get all these little things, and then you could go buy a soda with these or whatever, I forget how many it took or whatever, but well, not a big thing, but is that not cool or what? I mean, and you feel like you're in this magical place. I mean, it had real buildings, like full built buildings, and that were all medieval looking, and they had a mausoleum that you had to go through, and the mausoleum, they gave you like lanterns and shit, and you go through the mausoleum. It was cool as shit, man, and especially at night. And then they had axe throwing, and they had archery, and they had hell, they had a well, if you Google Evermore Park, there's videos on YouTube all about it, and you can watch some of the shit that they used to do. They it was very badly managed money wise, and so they laid off all the actors at one point, and they changed the whole format. Um, Now I've heard since that they've hired them back. Now I can't confirm that person. I haven't been there, but I've heard that they hired them back, and it's kind of back to what it used to be. But yeah, it was a cool place, and that's literally 10 minutes from me, and it's the only one like it in the country, and it just happens to be right down the street from me. Excuse me. And when my buddy and his wife came, me and my wife and him and his wife, the four of us went, and we did the quests, and the whole, and we had a freaking blast. So anyway, if you ever do happen to somehow manage to come through the Salt Lake City area of Utah, keep in mind Evermore Park is just down the street here, and it wasn't even that much to get in. I think it was like $15 or something like that. You could always check that out. Yeah, if you Google Evermore Park, you can watch videos about it, and they did. It was on the national news. They were on national TV a couple times. They did stories about it and all that stuff. And it was kind of it was hopeful for a moment there that it could be something that could expand to where they might have them in different places throughout the country. They could have them in East Coast, Midwest, West Coast, down south, whatever, and have them where people could go visit them and all that. But I don't know if that's ever going to happen. But Colin says, just had a look. It looks amazing. Yeah, I haven't been back in a while, so I can't confirm how it is now. I can just tell you how it was, and it was incredible. They even had they had an animal show where everybody was like all the animal handlers were in character as well, like dressed up like druids and shit. And they had like owls and falcons and snakes and I can't remember all the different. They had all kinds of different giant lizards and shit, big monitor lizards and stuff. They had all kinds of cool stuff there. Um, and they presented it in a way like they were a traveling, medieval animal show, because they're in character, Um, so that was a blast. I hope that when my wife and I do go back. Oh, and the other thing about it was, well, again, I don't know how it is now, but they would rotate. The quest would change. So uh, in the summertime, it was called like I want to say it was called Mystara or some name like that, and that was the quests were all related to that storyline. And then in the wintertime, it would change to a different one, like Celestia or something like that. And it would be a whole different storyline with all different quests and stuff like that. And it would change. It would go through the seasons like that. And again, I don't know what it's like now, but um, I don't even know how I got off on that little tangent. What made me think of that? It might have been the Renaissance Festival comment that because that was like Renaissance Festival on steroids. Like, I mean, Renaissance festivals are cool and all, but it's kind of cool to go through a thing and like you could be in as much in character as you wanted to be, as long as you ain't touching anybody, hurting nobody, harassing nobody, that type of stuff. As long as you ain't doing nothing like that. And I don't think they, as far as I know, I don't think they ever had any trouble with that kind of stuff. So, but as long as you didn't do any of that, you could stay in character the whole time you were there. I mean, we'd be going through there and you'd see people all dressed up and stuff run like they're running a quest and yeah, it was fun. So anyway, we're at 42 minutes and I think I'm out of stuff to talk about. Anybody else got any topics they want to talk about? If not, we're going to shut this down at 45 minutes. Oh, what I can do. So what we'll do here is at the 45-minute mark, I'm going to start talking about the book of Boba Fett, the one topic that I want to discuss that is a spoiler. So if there's anybody in here, it says there's only 6 people in here. It might not even be that many. If anybody doesn't want that spoiled or whatever, check out now or before 45-minute mark when I'm going to start talking about that. And if you want to discuss it, stick around and we can discuss it. Because in my opinion, for the first time in the series, this isn't the spoiler part. For the first time in the series, an episode really, as far as I'm concerned, was poorly mismanaged on a lot of things. So I'll see you, Colin. Take care, man. Thanks. Let's see. We got a couple minutes here. Yeah, I'm glad I got Bastille. I'm glad I got you and Colin as my moderators on here because, like, on Thursday nights, Mistra usually isn't here because it's way late where she is. And Colin, I would think it would be late where he is too, but maybe he just stays up late or something. So, let's see what else. I think that might be it. I thought there was one other thing. I don't know. Anyway, we're getting ready to come up on the 45-minute mark here. So I'm going to go ahead. Colin jumped out. So if there's anybody else that needs to jump out, do it now. Because I'm going to start talking about this spoiler thing with the Book of Boba Fett. So let's go. So we already talked about the whole Vespa gang, emo goth, moped gang type of thing, which I had issues with, and the whole chase scene and all that. Now, the other thing that really bugged me was when the Wookiee assassin, bounty hunter, whatever, decides that he's going to get inside and attack Boba Fett in his bacta tank, in his castle, in his compound. They don't explain how in the fuck did he get in there. Now, if you remember Return of the Jedi, Luke Skywalker had to figure out a way to get in the damn place because there's a gigantic 50-ton door that secures that place, right? They show that. How many times have they shown that in each episode? I mean, they show it at least twice an episode, opening and closing, the gigantic heavy door that, and it's like, it's meant to convey to you that this is a fortress, right? Obviously not. Now, people have said, I've already talked to my buddies on texting and all that stuff. And they're like, oh, well, he obviously, he used to work for Jabba. He probably knew the back door and all that. I said, okay, granted, right? Let's say that he knows of a secret passage. He knows of a secret door, secret passage. He even has the fucking code, whatever, paw print, whatever, to get in. Let's say that's a given. Let's just assume that, okay? He gets in. He attacks, almost kills Boba Fett in his personal chambers. And who comes to his aid first? The goddamn moped gang people. Not his Gamorrean guards. Not Fennec, his bodyguard, his personal bodyguard. No, it's the new swoop Vespa moped gang that comes to his aid. Now, you're telling me that with him knowing, it's already been established, he has a bounty on his head from at least one entity, the brother and sister Hutts that we knew about. We also know that he'd already had an attempt on his life from the mayor, supposedly. So that's at least two, okay? And you're telling me they don't have procedures in place to protect him? Holy shit. Why weren't there guards at the door to his chambers? So that if someone does happen to know the secret code to the back door and get in through that way, which, by the way, they did not show in the episode. They could have shown, like with Luke Skywalker, they showed how he managed to get in. He had to use the Jedi mind powers and the whole bullshit to get in and disguise himself and the whole bit. They didn't show any of that. Then, so let's say the guy gets in. He knows the back door. He uses his paw print, whatever it is, to get in. He gets in. They, for whatever reason, they don't have guards at Boba Fett's door. And Fennec is nowhere to be seen. Who knows where? She must be asleep on the other side of the castle or whatever. And so he gets in there. The motorcycle gang saves his ass. Then the Gamorreans and Fennec eventually shows up just to arrest the Wookiee. And then nobody, Boba specifically, who was almost killed, doesn't have any dialogue to the effect of, how in the fuck did he get into my castle? Because that would have been the first thing I would have said. My first question to Fennec and the Gamorreans would have been, can anybody explain to me how someone just got into my personal chambers while I'm in my bacta tank and almost killed me? No dialogue? They didn't write any dialogue to that effect? Now, mind you, the answer could have been, well, he found the secret door, or he knew the secret door because he used to work with Jabba. Okay, AJ is satisfied. Greyhawk 4x4 is satisfied. You guys, at least show some emotion on the point of Boba Fett. I would think he'd be pretty fucking pissed that someone almost killed him in his own home. And no one came to his fucking aid except for the new guys and gals. What the hell? So that was my problem with it. Yeah. Now, having said all that, I'm an old security guy. I was in the security industry for 20 years. If you count my military experience, which I did security in the military as well. 20 years. So that's the first thing I think of. Maybe not everybody does. So maybe Robert Rodriguez, who directed the episode, and Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau, maybe they don't think of that kind of stuff. They do think of it enough to make sure and point out to us every episode that giant steel door that goes up and down to secure the palace. They make sure to show that to like convey to us how secure this fucking place is. But yet, an intruder gets in to the Boba's personal chambers unmolested and almost kills him. And no dialogue. No one says, hey, I mean, even if Fennec would have been the one to say to the Gamorreans, how did you let that happen? How did you let that guy get to the boss? How did he get in? Then I would have been like, okay, yeah, they're at least concerned about the security of the palace. Anyway, so that was my old man rant. So if you take that issue now, okay, that's the negative shit. The combat scene, the fight with the Wookiee, which I can't think of his name right now. Giant steel door, main character. Yeah, exactly. The fight scene was incredible. That fight scene was very well done. I enjoyed the shit out of that. That looked realistic. I mean, that looked like he had vibro knuckles. So in Star Wars Galaxies, which I'm playing right now, as a brawler, if I remember correctly, you can get vibro knuckles, and they showed them that he had the brass knuckles, and then it had the electricity. Vibro knuckles, awesome stuff, you know. Maybe Kathleen Kennedy had a hand in this. Her name is in the credits. Yeah, well, I have my own. Yeah, Black Chrysanthemum, I think is the name of the Wookiee. Thank you for that, Bastille. I have my own history with Kathleen Kennedy. When I was security manager at Universal Studios, Steven Spielberg had his compound on the lower lot there, Amblin Entertainment. And at the time, you can Google her. She used to work for Steven. And yes, I can call Steven Spielberg Steven because, you know, when I worked there and I provided the security to Amblin, all the security officers there worked for me. Yeah, it was if we were talking about, like, if I was in a meeting about Amblin or whatever, and we would talk about Steven, but we'd just say Steven. So I get to call Steven Spielberg Steven. So she was like one of his right-hand people. She was one of the executive producers at Amblin, etc. And we had some staff issues, and she got involved, and so I have my own history with Kathleen Kennedy before she ever went to Paramount, and then now, of course, she works for Disney or whatever. But yeah, so who knows? I just would have thought Robert Rodriguez would have. We've seen his work before, and I would have thought an appropriate scene or at least piece of dialogue would have been something to the effect of, after everything was, after they arrested the Wookiee, took him away to the dungeon, everything else, that somebody would have said, hey, now, can someone please explain to me how the hell he got in here? You know, so that's all I was. Hey, we get to put another guy in timeout here. I don't even know what that spam was that guy just put in there, but I recognize it as spam. So let's talk about the other good stuff. So the fight scene was excellent. I really do like the dialogue between the Hutts and Boba. I like that whole dynamic, how they do that, you know, and that, you know, they said, hey, we're heading out, we're leaving Tatooine because somebody else has posted a claim to this, and now you're going to have to deal with them. The Pikes, I think it was, and which is that crime syndicate that he's already had a run-in with. And so I did like that whole thing, and I liked the fact that they showed Mos Espa, the town, like kind of how it operates and all that stuff. They had a lot of scenes of the streets and all that stuff. So it's providing a lot of good backstory and flavor for the episodes and for the series as a whole and everything. So I like all that stuff, but damn that Vespa chase scene and the Vespas and that whole thing with the security of this supposed fortress. Well, not very much of a fortress. Um, anyway, that's my review of so of the 3 episodes so far. This was by far, in my opinion, the weakest. The first one was good. I would say was good. The second one was great, and this one was okay. So that's the Greyhawk, the official Greyhawk 4x4 uh, grading scale so far. You got okay, good, and great. Yeah, this one falls into the okay. If it hadn't been for the other things that I mentioned, like the fight scene with Chrysanthemum, and the Wookiee dialogue or the Hut dialogue and all that stuff, if it hadn't been that, this would have been down in the poor range for an episode. But the other stuff redeemed it to the okay range. So by far, so it's just one episode. I'm gonna say it was just a one-off. They, everybody drops the ball once in a while. No big deal. We'll recover. We'll go from there. Anyway, yeah. So, yeah, I got my own issues with Kathleen Kennedy. Besides, whether or not she is behind a lot of the problems with the Star Wars universe now and all that. All right, we're almost done here. We're at an hour just about. Hopefully that old man rant didn't make anybody's ears bleed. So, anybody else got any comments, any questions before we shut this thing down? Or like Dan Patrick, the sports guy, when he says we're going to close up shop, that's his. He likes to say that at the end of the show. I don't know if anybody knows who that is. Dan Patrick, the sports commentator. It used to be on ESPN years ago, and now he has his own show in the mornings and stuff. So, and I hate to be Bastille. I hate to be that guy. I hate to be that old fart Star Wars, fanboy who wants to pick apart. Because till this point, I don't think I've ever done that. Everybody else was like, when the whole Jar Jar Binks thing, Jar Jar didn't ever bother. He never bothered me. Yeah, he was wacky and goofy and stupid, but stupid's not the right word. I don't think he was. I mean, but his mannerisms and all, it didn't bother me. I mean, Star Wars was always a wacky, goofy. There was wacky, goofy. And you look at the cantina scene. There's wacky, goofy stuff that happens all the time with wacky, goofy characters and everything. So I never had a problem with Jar Jar. So a lot of people, most people do, but so the fact that I have an issue with the Vespas, and that whole thing, that's got to say how bad it is, because Jar Jar never even bothered me. But anyway, so all right, guys, I'm gonna go lay down. I'm tired. It's been a busy day. How the hell do I have busy days when I'm retired? Tomorrow we got our second session for our new campaign. That's just as I've grown to really like the prequels. Again, with those, for me, I want to watch them in numerical order. I want to watch episode 1, 2, 3 first, then 4, 5, 6, and then 7, 8, 9. I want to watch them in numeric, because to me that's the the proper chronological order. I know that people have this other one where you move shit around and you take certain ones out and don't watch them at all. And all. No, fuck that. I watch 1 through 9 in order, and there's even with the there was Solo. I liked Solo. Most people don't like the movie Solo. And then there was what was the other one, where they steal the plans for the Death Star? The hell's the name of that movie? Anyway, they fit into the timeline too, so you can actually watch it all in chronological order, you know. So that's the way I like to do it. All right, guys. Thanks for everybody coming in. Thanks for your comments, questions. Rogue One, that's it. So yeah, there's a way to go, like, was it 1 through 3? Yeah, 1, 2, 3, then Rogue One, because then that's when they steal the plans, and then 4, 5, 6, and yeah, that is the order that, and then Solo can. I think Solo would come in. Shit, Solo would probably come in. I'm not sure where that one fits in, but it does fit in somewhere. So anyway, guys, that was fun. Appreciate all the comments, questions, all that stuff. We'll do our session tomorrow, and then I'll do my recap after that, and we have a live on Sunday. So we got stuff coming up, and yeah, having fun in the new D&D campaign, having a ball, because it's when you don't DM, it's kind of a weight off, because you can just play, you can just enjoy the game and not have to worry about so much, you know, of managing the game and all that other stuff. So, all right, guys, until next time, we'll catch you on the flip side.